Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in our world. Welcome to the second half of our amazing African Wellness Summit. Thrilled to have you all here. We're going to start again. I hope that is all okay with you. And a little bit about me. I am Lisa Jody. My name is Lisa Jody, and I grew up in KwaZulu-Natal. And being surrounded by nature and traditional healing, that's where my love for wellness began. I was always fascinated by how herbs and natural practices were used to bring people back into balance. I felt really connected, and it created a purpose within me. That curiosity has taken me on an amazing journey, a global journey through hospitality and wellness, living and working in fascinating countries with amazing global brands, learning how different cultures can approach well-being, which I think is so important. With that being said, I always come back to that same truth, that real wellness, as we have heard in the first half of our summit on our first day, is that wellness begins with connection to ourselves, to others, and to nature. Along my little journey, I founded a charity in Eswatini, and that supports orphaned and vulnerable children through education, nutrition, and community care. And again, because to me, well-being is also about creating environments where people can truly thrive. And that's why I am thrilled to be part of this initiative, celebrating Africa's wisdom, its heart, and its unique voice in global wellness. So let's move forward. I just want to have a couple of housekeeping reminders for all of those that have just joined us. Feel free to turn on your cameras if you're comfortable. It just helps us connect. And we, as I said, we love connecting. So please do use the chat or raise a hand. We love hearts, we love claps, but if you have any questions or reflections, please share them, and we're all looking for them. And to confirm, only our wonderful speakers will be recorded, and also the video, the link is in the chat, and that is on our YouTube station. Okay, so now let's move forward. I'm super excited, can you tell? Right, I am thrilled to present our second panel of the day, and so grateful for these wonderful people coming together. So to introduce Professor David Katerere, who is researcher and biotech innovator, hailing from South Africa, will be our esteemed moderator. Let me just spotlight you, Professor David.
I'm here, Lisa. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm just going to try. Oh, you spotlighted already. Who's doing that for me? That's wonderful. And then we will introduce, we have Professor John Igoli from Nigeria, who is professor and leader of the African Society of Natural Plants. And then Denzil Phillips from Barbados is co-founder of the AAMPS, which is the African Association of Medical Plants Standards, and he co-authored African Herbal Pharmacopoeia. And then we also have Dr. Kofi Donkor, who is from Ghana and who is the senior research scientist. Let me just spotlight all of you, and we can join. Professor David, if you would like to start your introduction. Wonderful to have you here, and thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Lisa, and it's a great honor to be here, the first of many, I hope. And so I would just like to invite my panelists to introduce themselves, but maybe before that, so I'm David Katerere, as introduced. I'm a professor here at Tshwane University of Technology. I'm actually from Chieftaincy. Many people don't know, so I'm from the Katerere Chieftaincy in Zimbabwe. And the reason I bring that up, because one of our last books actually was called Traditional and Indigenous Knowledge in the Modern Era, where we try to locate the role of chieftaincies within indigenous knowledge. And if you look at King Charles, actually, and at least 30 countries in Europe are nobilities. And that, in a sense, gives them a type of stability which you don't get in so-called modern uh, democracies. Because chieftaincies would have been source of political power, yes, but they would also be spiritual leaders. Like King Charles, for instance, is the leader of the Anglican Church. And they would, in a sense, also have curated a lot of indigenous knowledge, particularly around plants. Yeah, so I am then very grateful to have my panelists here, and they will introduce themselves. So we'll start with you, Professor John Igoli, and welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, David, and good afternoon, all the others. It's a great pleasure to be amongst you in this African Wellness Initiative. I'm John Igoli from Nigeria. I'm a professor of natural products. I've been investigating African medicinal plants for several years now, trying to identify the active constituents, the compounds that make them active in the pharmacological properties we see in them, and also hopefully assay these compounds for their bioactivities in the lab and extend this research into developing a drug from them. We are still looking forward to developing the first drug from Africa. And I'm part of that initiative, looking for the first drug that will come out of Africa through the Grand Challenge African Drug Discovery. And I'm also the head of the African Society of Natural Products. So we coordinate fellow African natural product researchers. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much, John. Denzil Phillips, all the way from the islands, but Denzil is no stranger to Africa. I think he's lived in more African countries than I can name. So, Denzil.
Yeah, hi everyone. Yeah, it's such an honor and privilege to be here. I am honored to be one of the founders of the African Wellness Initiative way back, and we all got together in Morocco, and our patron Susie Ellis, who opened today, organized that. So, and I've got many friends all around. I live in Barbados at the moment, but my heart is very much in Africa. I'm a research fellow at the University of Johannesburg in the botany department. And I'm also a founder of a thing called the African Association of Medicinal Plant Standards, of which, along with David, we are the co-editors of the African Herbal Pharmacopoeia, of which is trying to bring to the world some of the greatest African medicinal plants. And I believe Africa has huge potential bringing this together. So I'd like to thank Michelle and Marianne, who have done an amazing job. I've been literally just behind the scenes, but on the organizing committee, but those two ladies have just done an amazing job of bringing everybody together, bringing an amazing network. And so I'm going to clap them now, but
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, Dr. Kofi Donkor, all the way from Ghana.
Yes, David, thank you, and thank you, everyone. So my name is Kofi Donkor. I'm a senior research scientist at the Center for Plant Medicine Research in Ghana. The Center for Plant Medicine Research is the government agency that is responsible for research and development of herbal products. Over the past 50 years, we've researched and developed more than 30 herbal products that are registered and licensed by the Food and Drug Authority here in Ghana. And these products are sold commercially for treating various disease conditions, both communicable and non-communicable, here in Ghana and way beyond Ghana as well. My research interests are in biochemical toxicology and immunopharmacology. I also double as the head of research and innovation here at the center, and basically in charge of our partnership, our cooperation, and also leading scientists to commercialize our research outcomes. David, thank you.
Thank you very much. So maybe starting with you, Kofi, I want to take you back. What was your first encounter with a plant, and you know, in a wellness or healing manner?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. So my dad is a pharmacist, and when I was growing up, there was this product I didn't know at the time. It was called NPK.
Dr. Donkor?
And yes, please, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, and my dad was selling this product in our pharmacy shop, and this was a product that was for pain and also for especially menstrual pain, and it worked magic for people. I thought this was a normal conventional drug. So I graduated from the university and I went to the Center for Plant Medicine Research to do my national service. That's over 20 years ago. And I entered the chemistry lab and I see this drug on the bench in the chemistry lab. And I asked somebody, what is this drug doing here? And then the guy goes like, "Abba, we produce this thing here." So like, what? You produce this?
Yeah.
You produce this. So this is a product from Cassia Seberina. And so I ended up doing my PhD using that plant. And it's because of way back when I was just about 12 years, this is a product that my dad was dispensing in his pharmacy. And I get to my first job, and this is something that is made from a herb here at Mampo. And I was like, wow. And so
Yeah.
that's my first encounter. And it actually kind of gave me a lot more faith in herbal medicine and in traditional medicine. And that's how come I picked that plant all the way to PhD level. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, and so I guess there are spiritual things that are like this. Like you, my first encounter was with Mukodo because I grew up quite sickly, and then Mukodo is this, so it's Combrita, and it would always be used with a bit of salt for sore throats. And later on in life, I came to understand. Actually, I read some conference proceedings, and I was like, oh, okay, this is the stuff that I grew up taking, and that has really shaped my sort of natural projects life because then that was my PhD. I looked at several species of mukodo, and even to this day, I still think I have unfinished business with combretaceae. So that's interesting. John, what
Yes.
are your first encounters with plants, indigenous plants, and traditional healing?
Yeah, thank you. Actually, my mom, my aunties told me I was quite ill when I was young. I must have taken a lot of herbs because they recalled that I couldn't walk until I was 2.5 years. So that was a long delay for an African child to walk. And if
Yeah.
I'm not careful, they would have hung me somewhere to say, if you don't walk, there's no need for you here. But when I survived finally and started working on my own, I realized that I had a lot of stained teeth because of all the herbal things they were really putting me on. And there's this plant, Longocarpus laxiflorus, which we
Yeah, yeah.
use locally to clean the teeth. So I was practically more or less using it each time to make sure that I polish my teeth and see that it works. And when I finally got into chemistry, got into natural product research, I told my supervisor that I want to work on that plant. So I worked on the plant in order to find out if there were active compounds against oral flora and so on. And
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
got very good results.
Yeah.
So since then, I've been involved. And also, like Kofi has said, my father also happened to investigate what he was selling to people, if they were active or non-active. So that is how I got to natural products and healing with herbal medicines.
Yeah. So we have these personal stories, and to you, Denzil, Yeah. What's your story? What is it?
Oh gosh, too many stories, but
Just one, the early
just one.
story.
Let's just stick to the one I'm still working on in a sense, which is the story of frankincense.
Mhm.
I got involved with frankincense about 10 years ago, and I didn't know anything about it other than the fact it was a resin. And I'm not a Catholic, but I knew it was used in the Catholic Church. But I didn't know that this is one of the most important plants, and I would rate it one of the greatest medicinal plants, not just because it's a wellness plant in every sense of the word, spiritually, medically, cosmetically, aroma, perfumery. It has everything going for it. But it's a sad story as well as a good story, because basically everywhere you go in the world where you find frankincense, you find war. And I've found this a very troubling scenario. It seems to follow danger and war. Somalia, northern Ghana, you name it, Mali. And so I helped found an organization called the Global Frankincense Alliance, which is a somewhat a platform to try and raise awareness, not just about the importance of this plant in every society, in every religion, but also basically to see what we can do to improve the lives. We estimate over 100,000 people are involved in this industry, at least, right across Africa from Mali. I didn't know that. I lived in Burkina Faso for many years. I never knew there was frankincense there. I never knew that we know so little. And so that's my story. And my story is basically I'm an agronomist, basically, and a botanist. We still know so little about the plants of Africa. There's so much new, there's a boundless wealth there. We even discover new species every day. So that's my
Yeah.
story.
Okay, yeah. So from the origin story of everybody, and it looks like everybody has a favorite plant. I'd like to encourage people in the in the audience. They can type, sort of a story of their African plant. That would be really nice to hear in the chat box. And if you have questions, just put them in there as well, right? But now the thing is, how do we actually curate these plants, look after them, and make sure that they benefit Africans and humanity, right? Because there's a lot of knowledge that is dying with the elders, as it were. So how is it that we can actually curate this knowledge? John, what are you doing in your research, in your engagements in Nigeria and in West Africa, in the societies that you're talking with, in order to curate this knowledge? And we know that for knowledge to stay, it has to be used. Otherwise, if it's of no use, then it dies. So what are you doing? John?
Well, we've been involved in a lot of conferences. Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Am I gone?
Yeah,
Hello?
no,
We can hear
Okay,
you.
thank you.
we can hear you.
Well,
Keep going.
in Nigeria and West Africa, we I belong to several groups and societies. We take this information to the relevant audience and also the traditional healers and the herbalists. Through the Federal Ministry of Health, we had a meeting or a committee that were looking at herbal remedies for COVID-19. And we passed on this about this activity of conserving and keeping these plants. You don't just harvest carelessly. And of course, I give example of the Garcinia cola, which is one of the most active plants or products in Nigeria. A lot of things, including treatment. And Garcinia cola takes about minimum of 4 months or 1 year to germinate, and then it takes 17 years to fruit. So you find that by the time you bring down all the cola, yeah, to place any other ones, you are at least 18 to 20 years. And so we are really continuing this through the Biocon group in Nigeria. And we just finished a conference in Abuja where we brought all stakeholders and we have implemented this.
Okay, yeah. All right. So, John, you could even
we're
come on
we're
camera.
really working on it, active, trying to observe the medicinal plants and ready and make sure that they are well protected. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry?
No, thank you. John,
Sorry?
you could even come off camera because your bandwidth seems to be quite low. Kofi, your thoughts on that one? What are you
Yes.
doing? Yeah.
Yes, yes. So
Okay,
this
okay.
this is a very interesting question. And you know, the Center for Plant Medicine Research where I work, when it started over 50 years ago, was a beautiful collaboration between the founder who was a medical doctor at the time. And he had this wonderful partnership with traditional healer. And in this partnership, the traditional healers will teach him or introduce him to traditional plants or medicinal plant that they use for their healing. And he, through that partnership, got to learn a lot about medicinal plants. And because he was a medical doctor, decided to add a bit more of science to all the knowledge that these traditional healers were giving him. So the center, right from its inception in 1975 till now, we have this close relationship with traditional healers. And most of our products are actually based on knowledge from traditional healers. So basically, we are adding science to the traditional knowledge and developing products based on traditional knowledge that we come by based on our partnership and our relationship with traditional healers. Thank you, David.
Okay, that's cool. And Denzil, so you are then a director, founder of the Association of African Medicinal Plant Standards. And I would imagine that that's part of the mandate. But what else is going on with AMPS, and how is that helping to commercialize and mainstream African herbals?
Well, as you are my co-director, I don't want to leave you out of it as well. Maybe I got in the picture earlier, but that doesn't make any difference. You've been a stalwart. The idea of the African Medicinal Plant Standards, it happened in the year 2000 when we held a conference in Kirstenbosch Botanic Gardens, where I was privileged to invite over 200 people who were involved in the African herbal industry. I spent quite a few months all over Africa traveling to find people who were involved in the industry, not in the academia at the time, and bring them together to talk about why was African herbal medicine so little known about, and why was it not developing as fast as Indian Ayurveda and Western herbal medicine. And the key factor that came out was the lack of standards, quality control standards. People were frightened outside of the very traditional Sangoma world to use them or to develop products with them without some form of standards. And it's organizations like Kofi and what John is doing who are trying to build a bridge, as you are doing as well in TUT, between the herbalists, the traditional healers, and Western pharmaceutical, to not necessarily what to build quality control standards so that people can use in a broader sense many of the plants that Africa has to offer. So that is what my future has been. Obviously, the African herbal pharmacopoeia is the key output, if you like, of this work, which involved consultations right across Africa, They're not my ideas. I'm just the secretary here, if you like. They are not my ideas. We have worked with an enormous number of people like yourselves, like Kofi, and people right across Africa to identify what are the most important medicinal plants and the future of them, and not just in herbal, not in the, but in the broadest sense of wellness. And the wellness industry was completely unknown to me 20 years ago. I didn't know anything about, and I went there mainly looking for market, looking to make them aware of what is going on. And that bridge is, this meeting is part of that long walk I've made through my life of trying to build bridges between herbal medicines and plant medicine and the wellness industry.
Okay. Yeah,
Hi,
that's fine.
David.
So,
David,
yeah.
half time. You're halfway.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. Okay, so what we're going to do is if there are people in the audience who would like to just ask a question, you can put your hand up and then we will, ask you to unmute. So we've got Roy. Roy, do you want to quickly just introduce yourself and ask your questions? In the meantime, I'm really going to do the professorial thing. There's 62 people on the group, but I'm only seeing 4 or 5 people mention their plants, their favorite plants. I'm not sure if the other people are in the wrong group. You can even I don't know, talk about tobacco or some other. Cannabis is allowed too, by the way. It's a favorite plant for a lot of people. But yeah, Roy, do you want to quickly ask your question and anybody else can put their hand up?
Thank you, Prof. Am I audible?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Great. So my name is Roy, and thanks for the opportunity. This has been a great find. To be part of this is great, and to hear great minds speaking on this area is wonderful. So I really would like to ask on issues to do with clinical trials in the African setting. We all know how exorbitant clinical trials are in terms of not just cost, but as well as time. And in Africa, then, how can we generate clinical evidence from medicinal plants in ways that are both scientifically robust and at the same time cognizant of the cultural and contextual appropriateness of these plants, giving full rights to the owners of that knowledge, but at the same time satisfying the requirements for generating clinical evidence such as effectiveness. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, let's hear. Kofi,
Yeah,
you can first.
yeah, David. Hello, David. If
Yes.
if I may answer that, because if I may contribute to that, because my institute we develop herbal medicine, and clinical trials is very much at the heart of seeking marketing authorization for these products. Now, so yes, like Roy has said, clinical trials is very important, and it helps to assure us that products are safe and they are effective and they are okay for human consumption. And we need to keep the same standards when it comes to traditional products as well. The issue is the cost that is required to run clinical trials. And what we are doing here in Ghana is to try and ask government to support manufacturing to be able to carry out clinical trials. The other thing that we have discussed with the food, and we've been discussing with the Food and Drugs Authority here in Ghana, is because most of all, let me say even all herbal products are actually developed from traditionally used medicinal plants. Can we do away with phase 1 trial? And phase 1 is basically safety. And if the FDA agrees and we do away with phase 1 trials, that significantly lowers the cost of the trial. And this is one of the things that I think that we need to do to try and reduce the cost of trial. Beyond that, phase 2 and phase 3 are important. And we need to take these products through these studies to assure ourselves that the products are safe and they are effective. For us in drug development here in Ghana, this is something that you cannot do away without. The only problem is the cost. And we believe if we push government, if we push funding agencies to try and fund clinical trials on these products, it will be very useful. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Maybe John, we can come to you, but before that, I don't think I have very good students here because I asked for 1 plant and people are giving me 3 plants. I'm going to start marking negatively there, but right. John, what's your take on the whole issue around clinical trials? Because we also know that you can use reverse pharmacology, right? You're the pharmacologist. People are already using these plants, so there's a level of safety there already. So we can proceed, like Kofi says, to maybe phase 2 and 3. But John, your take.
Yeah, thank you very much. Is it clearer now? My camera is off.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Actually, the WHO advised that we should distinguish between plants that have a long history of use and plants that we are beginning to introduce into traditional medicine or herbal medicine. Those that have a long history of use may not need such rigorous scientific verification, except if their toxic properties may have been reported along the line. Some plants have been used right from time immemorial. And again, those ones we can safely say that they are safe or good for herbal remedies. But new plants that are being introduced need to be tested rigorously. I know that in Nigeria, the National Institute for Pharmaceutical Research and Development and the Standard Organization of Nigeria, they have been involved, and the Ministry of Health have been involved in clinical trials, especially for cyclavit, a drug, the herbal remedy introduced for treating sickle cell anemia, and also the one also developed by Niprisan, which is also another sickle cell drug in Nigeria. So we have been doing clinical trials in Nigeria. I don't know the number of phases that they go through, but I think at least they go to human studies, animal studies, and human studies before those drugs are introduced. Yes, this is very important to build confidence, to prove efficacy, to prove that this thing works. And they'll be getting very good reports and testimonies from people who are.
Okay, yeah, so thank you very much. Denzil, so maybe talk a little bit about how you think traditional healers can be collaborating with us and with industry, so with the wellness industry.
Well, I think this meeting is obviously one element of that, but the whole issue of intellectual property comes up here. It's always the elephant in the room when you start bringing this issue up, because it becomes a political issue where it shouldn't be. Respect for people's knowledge is a problem right throughout the world. And it's come up in this meeting at the beginning with the elders have implied this for a long time. We respect our elders, but we don't respect the intellectual knowledge of ancient civilizations. And that's a very interesting dilemma here. We have not. So the people are frightened to share their knowledge and their wisdom. And that is, we have to find a way around that. And the only way around that is to work in small groups who trust each other and who work together. And I have spent a lot of my life looking at what are the ways in which we can partnership with local people because if they're not involved, they will not participate, and they will actually will make sure. So I think the key is to have simple legislation. At the moment, there are a whole series of laws, the Kyoto agreements. We have CITES protection. Most of these are Western orientated. They have been written by Western conservationists and environmentalists, some of them with very good knowledge and very good wishes, but they have not really been written in a format or practiced in a format that enables people at low level or small businesses to use these.
Okay, right. Thank you very much. If anybody else in the audience, we have 9 minutes. So anybody else in the audience would like to ask a question, and while you're preparing for that, I would just like to ask my panelists, maybe tell me about a plant that you think would be of interest in the cosmetic space, you know? Because we've talked a lot about medicinal plants, and that's a very high bar. Then you have to do clinical trials and all of that. But we know that actually a lot of Africans suffer from tropical diseases, infections, allergies, because it's hot, dry, and also just in some places quite humid. Kofi.
Yes. So the first one will be
Not shea butter, please.
no, I was going to say hem. I was going to say hem, but I'll move away from that quickly because it's not something we are researching
Yeah,
on at the center
yeah.
because we still don't have legislation finalized yet. But if you are talking about cosmetics, what one plant will be useful in the cosmetic industry, then obviously you can't do away with him. So yes, that is it. But if I come home to Ghana and to the center where we have researched over the years, one very useful plant I would say would be Cryptolepis sanguinolenta. Okay, it is a plant that has a very broad anti-infective activity, and if you are looking at skin diseases, that most of the time these are fungal, and on some occasions you can have bacterial, then a plant like that is very useful. Another plant is the brother of Cassia sebarina, which is Cassia alata. And it's used, Cassia alata is used traditionally for treating skin infections, including ringworm and all that. So yes, those two, Cassia alata, Cryptolepis sanguinolenta, those will be wonderful candidates for the cosmetic industry. Thank you very much.
Okay, interesting. John, anything from your side?
Yes,
Nigerian women always have this beautiful hair. What are they using apart from cannabis for that hair?
yeah, coming. Yeah, the shea butter tree grows well in Nigeria, and the oil is very common. People use it a lot, bone setting, healing, skin, dry skin, and so on. So it is highly commercialized in Nigeria. And then when it comes to antibiotic fungal properties, the longocarpus, which I mentioned earlier, also has a lot of those compounds that are active against. So they can be used maybe for mouthwash, to help deodorants, and so forth. And then you also have other oil-producing plants in Nigeria, which can give a lot of high yield. I've been looking at seed oils in Nigeria, and the unripe kernel oil is quite white, really colorless, practically colorless, so you don't need to even bleach or take anything from it again, and it gives a very good oil with nice aroma, which also can be used in the cosmetic industry. The unripe palm kernel.
Thank you. Denzil?
Oh, there are too many. Africa is a
One.
but I'll get, I mean, Igoli africana, or the African sausage tree, is one I'm particularly interested in.
Mhm.
By the way, before the end, you've got to say yours as well. I'm only going to give mine if you say yours, because you've got some interesting ones. Igoli africana, very interesting, well known for its value in stretch marks and the use in for women who have recently given birth, for women who have recently had operations. A great deal of interest on it in skin cancer properties, potentially. Clinical work going on slowly but surely in it, but not enough money and not enough emphasis on it. The other amazing plant is Centella asiatica.
Okay. All right. You want to hear mine? Mine is sorghum. It's simple. And I think we've had this discussion before. Very good source of nutrition, obviously, but also very good source of medicinal products. I know some of these products from Nigeria for sickle cell disease actually have sorghum in them, and then good for dyes. So yeah, there. So we got 3 minutes, and then I'm just going to, we don't have any more questions. If there are any questions in from the audience, you can just answer them in there. But closing now, I would just like to get closing remarks from my panelists. And I'd like to just ask you, so let's say in 5 years' time, where would you want African herbals to be? And how do you think we can get there? So very quickly, Denzil.
I would want to see them used in Africa, quality products being made and used in Africa, particularly in the exploding tourism and wellness industry.
Okay, thank you very much, Denzil. John?
Yes, I would like to see a specific drug or herbal remedy developed from them, which will be good for export, safe for export, will be in the market in Europe, Americas, Asia, and so on, which is from Africa. And it shouldn't just be from Africa for Africans only. It should be from Africa to the world. Thank you.
And how do we get there?
Yeah, we get there through all we're discussing now: standardization, robust research, and
okay, that's fine. Kofi?
Two things. The first one,
robust
the
research
first one.
and robust criticism, so that we get there.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, David. Two things. The first one, intellectual property. We need to have intellectual property protection for indigenous knowledge. It is only when we have a good protection for these knowledge holders, that is when they'll be able to share their knowledge freely with scientists. And as they share this knowledge freely with scientists, then we can add science to this knowledge and then come out with wonderful product. And of course, because the protection is there, then they also benefit. I mean, the indigenous knowledge holders, they also benefit. It's not only the scientists who are benefiting. That is number one. And of course, and I'm bringing this up because in a country like Ghana, where we have even the Center for Plant Medicine research for over 50 years, we don't have IP rights for protection for indigenous knowledge. And I can imagine in most other African countries, this protection is not there. So we need to do that. Number two, clinical trials. So you take my institute, we develop more than 30 products. They do fantastic. They are doing well. What is lacking is clinical trial. And to be able to sell these products worldwide without any form of restriction, then clinical trials is key. So for me, in the next 5 years, I want to see herbal products undergoing clinical trials. these products no doubt work. They work. We need to add the clinical trials to it so that we can let the whole world have the data and know that these products work, so that we can have them everywhere in the world that people need them.
Okay.
So for me, are the two things.
Yeah.
The near future.
And thank you very much for always over answering me. I asked for one and I get three, but it's okay. Yeah. But I think we've had a really engaging discussion amongst the panelists and also with the audience. And thanks to the audience. So give yourselves a big hand, audience. Thank you. Right. And
Thank
Thank you.
you.
yeah, please thank my panelists, Kofi, John, Denzil. Big hand, and you can thank me too if you like. Thank you very much. And then back to you, Lisa. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much. Thank you so much.